Hello friends, today I'm going to solve LeetCode problem number 2348, number of zero-filled subarrays. In this problem, we are given an integer array nums and we need to return the number of subarrays that are filled with zeros. So what's a subarray? It's a contiguous non-empty sequence of elements within an array. So in case of 0, the subarray of 0 would be 0 0, and 0 itself is also a subarray. So let's see how many number of subarrays can we form using this example, and also let's see how we could solve this problem using JavaScript. So in this problem, let's just use our logic. All right, so using our basic logic, we need to find the number of subarrays filled with zeros, right? So which are filled with zeros? These and these portions here are filled with zeros, right? But if you would just look at this, we would say that there is one portion is filled with 0, the other portion filled with 0. So our you'd think that this is just one subarray, this is another subarray, so total subarrays is equals to 2, right? That would be what we would like think initially. But when you look at the definition of subarray, it's a contiguous non-empty sequence. Non-empty sequence means there could be at least one element in the sequence but not 0 elements. So if there is at least one element in the sequence, then it still forms a subarray. So since this one element here is also forming a subarray, so that also adds to our subarray here, right? So same is with this one as well, so we add that as well, and same for these two remaining also. These two individually also contribute to the number of subarrays, right? So we do that the same thing, and hence the total number would be equals to 6. So how do we actually perform this operation? Let's look at this example as well, and then we could identify the way we could solve this problem. So for the first element here, it's just a single element, right? So that would just be one subarray. It's forming just one subarray so far. Now when we move to this next index here, this individually is forming one subarray, and then this is also forming a subarray with this one, right? So that's a total of 2. So we add a 2 here, and then when we move here, it's forming a subarray individually. It's forming one subarray with this 0, and it's forming another subarray with the 3 of the elements. So in total there is forming 3 subarrays, right? So for this portion, we already know this one. Now what about these two? It's almost similar to this case here, but we are starting from this point. Now it's just a 0, just one element, so that will only be one subarray. And then when we move to this one, it's forming a subarray with itself that's equals to 1, and then with the previous element as well, which would be a total of 2. So our sum total here is equals to 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is equals to 6, and then plus 3, which is equals to 9. So this is how our subarrays are actually formed. So now if you look at the pattern here, you would find how you could solve this problem using JavaScript. So what's happening is, if there is only one, we only have one subarray forming, right? If there are 2 zeros, we have 1 plus 2. If there are 3 zeros, we have 1 plus 2 plus 3. So basically in addition of every 1 0, in addition of 1 0, we are adding it. Like suppose if there was one more 0 here, then we would have something like this. So it's basically an addition starting from 0 1 to the number of zeros here. So what we could do here is we could actually identify the number, the starting point. So let that be as the index that we are at, current index. So if the current index is same as the starting index, we are just taking the difference between two, and then we are adding plus 1 to that difference. So since that's equals to 0, so that will be 0 plus 1. Next, when I is at this index, that is index 1, the difference is 1 minus 0, right? That is equals to 1, and then we add a 1 to it, which becomes equals to 2. And same in this case, where starting index is still at this point, but now our index I is at second index. So 2 minus 0 is equals to 2, and then we add a plus 1, which would be now equals to 3, and so on. So that's how we are going to solve this problem. And whenever we encounter a non-zero value, we will be setting our starting value to -1. That is, there is no such index, right? So we will set the value to -1, and whenever we encounter a value 0, and if the value of s is equals to -1, that is when we set our starting point. So let's now start coding. So let us define an integer count and start value as equals to -1. Since we have not yet encountered a 0 value, so that will be -1. Now for let I equals to 0, I is less than the num's length I plus plus. So for each of the elements in the nums array, we are going to check if the value of nums I is not equals to 0. That is when we set the value of s equals to -1, and then we just continue to the next element, right? Else, if the value at that index is 0, then we need to set the value of s. If s is equals to -1, then as the start would be that index, and then we update the count. So count plus would be the difference of I minus s plus a value 1, and finally we return our count. So that's all that we need to do to find the result. Now let's try to run our code and look for the result. Awesome, let's try to submit this. Great. So the time complexity for this whole solution would be O of n, and the space complexity is constant. Hope you liked my solution. Please let me know in the comment section below. Thank you.